The Queen praises the bravery of BBC racing commentator John Hunt and his family after the murder of his wife and 2 daughters last year. Queen Camilla said the conversation prompted her to speak publicly for the first time about an indecent assault she experienced when she was younger.
When I was a teenager, I was attacked on a train, and I'd sort of forgotten about it, but I remember at the time being so angry that I did fight back.
Also tonight, weather warnings as large parts of the UK are told to brace for a cold snap over the next week. A train crash near the tourist attraction Machu Picchu kills 1 person and injures 30. The Foreign Office says a number of British people were on board. And a countdown to midnight, but the new year is already being welcomed in on the other side of the world.
And after bad weather put a stop to last year's outdoor Hogmanay celebrations here in Edinburgh, tonight's are set to go ahead with fireworks and bagpipes.
Good evening. Queen Camilla has praised the courage of the BBC racing commentator John Hunt and his family after his wife Carol and 2 daughters Louise and Hannah were murdered last year. They were killed by Louise's ex-partner. The Queen met John and his surviving daughter Amy for a discussion about violence against women and girls on the Today programme. During their conversation, the Queen also shared publicly for the first time her experience of an assault. Our senior royal correspondent Daniela Ralph reports.
Do my best.
At Clarence House, gathering for a powerful conversation. For John and Amy Hunt, a chance to tell their story to Queen Camilla, as she shared with them her experience of indecent assault.
When I was a teenager, I was attacked on a train, and I'd sort of forgotten about it, but I remember at the time being so angry that I did fight back, and I got off. I remember getting off the train and my mother looking at me and saying, you know, why is your hair standing on end, and why is the button missing from your coat? And I've
physical.
been attacked.
It was a candid revelation from the Queen to a family who had suffered so much. Carol, Louise and Hannah Hunt were murdered at home in Hertfordshire in July 2024 by Louise's ex-partner. For John and Amy, they are now working on creating a positive legacy out of their grief.
I think it's really important to remember they had a sad death, but they did not have a sad life. And their life was full of so much love and joy and happiness and fun.
And I'm staggered that we're as well as we are at this particular moment in time. There's still a lot more work to do. At the risk of embarrassing Amy, she's been my best counsel from the word go. We talk all the time. I used to say I couldn't do it without you, but now I say I can do it with you.
Baroness Theresa May had drawn everyone together. All agreed that better education of men was key to improving the safety of women. John and Amy have now set up the Hunt Family Foundation. It will support projects that inspire young women. As the conversation wound up, the Queen spoke to them directly.
That's the same for all women.
I just want to say, wherever your family is now, they'd be so proud of you both.
Thank you.
And they must be from above smiling down on you and thinking, my goodness me, what a wonderful, wonderful father, husband, sister. Anyway, they'd just be so proud of you both.
Thank you so much.
Daniela Ralph, BBC News.
Thank you.
Well, if you want to listen back to the full BBC Radio 4 Today programme that was guest edited by Theresa May, you can head to BBC Sounds. You can find it there. The UK Special Envoy for Women and Girls, Baroness Harman, has said the Queen speaking out about being assaulted was so important. Here's Helena Wilkinson. The Queen has made supporting victims of domestic violence a priority in her public work. Over many years, she's supported campaigns to raise awareness of domestic and sexual violence.
Charity begins at home, but so does domestic violence. 3/4 of violence against women happens in a place where a woman should feel safest, her own home.
The Queen previously warned of a pandemic of violence against women. She's patron of the domestic abuse charity Safe Lives and has worked alongside other organisations, including Refuge. It's because of her work in this area that the Queen became involved in the discussion with John and Amy Hunt and went on to share her own experience of being indecently assaulted as a teenager.
Very rarely has she shared her own experience. She's not doing that to put the focus on her, as you say. She's doing it to put the focus on the conversation and get people talking about it. It's so important because unless we talk about it, we do not get a whole society response to what's happening, not just around domestic abuse, but sexual harassment, sexual abuse, the whole violence against women and girls agenda.
Palace sources said the Queen hadn't necessarily planned to tell John and Amy Hunt her story, but because of the direction of the discussion, she felt comfortable doing so while understanding their trauma.
Helena's with me now, and the Queen was surprisingly open about what had happened to her.
She was, Sophie, and significant that for the first time she has publicly spoken and shared such a personal experience. The Queen will know that by doing so, because of her position and who she is, that will have an impact on the attention that the issue gets of domestic violence and violence against women and girls. She will also clearly feel that she can play a part in making this known as widely as possible. Having said all of that, she will not want to take the focus of the conversation away from John and Amy Hunt, what they went through, what they are going through still, their grief, their strength, and also their determination to protect the memory of Carol, Hannah and Louise.
Helena, thank you. And if you have been a victim of sexual abuse or violence, details of help and support are available at bbc.co.uk/action line. You can also call for free at any time to hear recorded information on 0800 077 077. Heavy snow showers are on their way for parts of the UK as weather warnings are issued by the Met Office. A yellow warning for snow and ice has been issued for parts of Scotland from tomorrow morning. And the whole of England has now been placed under an amber cold health alert by the UK Health Security Agency from tonight into next week, which means the cold is likely to cause significant impact across health and social care services. Here's our correspondent Sophie Hutchinson.
The cold snap across the UK bringing freezing temperatures, but that's not all. The amber warning issued for England signals that the weather is likely to cause significant impacts across health and social care services.
We tend to get a spike in respiratory and cardiovascular cases during periods of cold weather, and our main concern really is the impact this can have on both NHS and social care services. So we expect to see an increased demand across A&E services across the country, and also increased pressure within social care settings.
And the NHS can ill afford a sudden rise in demand, having seemingly sidestepped a flu crisis, with latest figures out today suggesting the peak was passed before Christmas. It still has 95% of beds occupied, with hospitals running under severe pressure.
So this is one of the new vehicles?
Yes, brand new.
In an attempt to ease pressures, 500 new ambulances have been rolled out across England 3 months earlier than planned, in what ministers say is the biggest upgrade in recent years.
The £75 million we're putting in this year means 500 new ambulances, and not just new vehicles, but modern vehicles with the kind of technology and features that enables crews to work safely and efficiently, to give greater comfort to patients who are often going through a very distressing experience they'll remember for the rest of their lives, making sure that we can turn ambulances around faster and get to more patients. That's what this is about.
But there's concern that emergency care is being hampered by people going to hospital with minor ailments. New analysis suggests in the 4 years to 2024-25, the number of patients accessing A&E with cardiac arrests each year remained stable, while those with a cough rose nearly tenfold. People are being urged to seek help from a GP or pharmacist unless it's an emergency. Sophie Hutchinson, BBC News.
Our health correspondent Jim Reid is with me now. These health warnings are in place for a good week, really, aren't they, because of the cold weather? What advice are people being told to take?
So these warnings come into force from 8 p.m. tonight. They're according to the UK Health Security Agency. They're actually extending an amber warning for extremely cold weather. It was already in place in the northwest and the northeast of England. It's been extended south to all 10 regions of England, as you say, until next Tuesday, so some length of time. Similar warnings in place from the Met Office for Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland. And there's particular concern, Sophie, at times like this for vulnerable groups. So that includes people who might be sleeping rough, those with pre-existing health conditions and those people over 65 years old. 3 pieces of advice then from the health authorities this evening. 1, if you can, try to heat the rooms in your house to at least 18 degrees. 2, try to stop any drafts. Keep your windows closed, especially in your bedroom over the next couple of days. And 3, wear plenty of layers, both inside and out, if you're celebrating tonight, because it's promising to be a freezing start to 2026.
It certainly is, Jim. Thank you. A train driver has died and at least 40 people have been injured in a head-on rail collision near Peru's most popular tourist attraction, Machu Picchu. The Foreign Office has confirmed that a number of Britons were on board when 2 trains collided near the ancient Inca town. Ellie Price reports.
A head-on collision near one of the 7 modern wonders of the world. The crash involved 2 trains on a single track. It claimed the life of the driver and left at least 20 people in a serious condition in hospital. One witness who was on one of the trains told me about the chaos.
I heard children crying, people lying on the floor, the staff was running around with medical supplies, that kind of stuff. So before we knew it, people were climbing out of the train.
Local media reported that rescue efforts had been hampered by the difficult terrain around the crash site. Machu Picchu is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, attracting some 4,500 visitors every day. The local governor said it will take some time before trains can run on the line again.
What we have here is disorder, chaos in the management of tourism. We're ending the year with a whole cycle of inadequate administration and management of what Machu Picchu should be as a tourist destination.
The Foreign Office said it was supporting a number of British nationals involved and was in contact with the local authorities. Ellie Price, BBC News.
Israel is set to revoke the licenses of 37 aid groups working in Gaza and the occupied West Bank from tomorrow, saying they failed to provide personal details of their employees, a new requirement under new registration rules. Well-known international organisations such as ActionAid and the Norwegian Refugee Council are among those that will have their licences suspended tomorrow, with their operations ending in 60 days. The move was heavily criticised by foreign ministers from 10 countries, including the UK, which said the new rules were restrictive and unacceptable. Russia's defence ministry has released pictures claiming to show that Ukraine targeted a residence of President Vladimir Putin in a mass drone attack. Russia says more than 90 drones were launched on Wednesday, but they were intercepted and destroyed. Ukraine denies the attack took place and says Russia has invented the story to block progress on peace talks. A nurse has said she is lucky to be alive after an attack at a community hospital on Merseyside. Meg Lynch suffered a serious head wound. She was one of 6 people treated for injuries after being attacked by a man wielding a metal bar. Our correspondent Yunus Muller is at the hospital. What more do we know about what happened there?
Sophie, we've had continued police activity here today, mounted officers on patrol. You can also see a mobile police station behind me outside Newton Community Hospital as investigators carry out their inquiries into what happened here yesterday. More detail has emerged on social media. Meg Lynch, a nurse who was injured in the attack, has described how she was nearly beaten to death with a crowbar and how she is lucky to be alive. Now, 6 people were treated for their injuries. Police believe the man who allegedly carried out this attack went into the hospital to get an appointment. When that was refused and he was asked to leave, he then attacked people around him. Now, what police have said today is that they have recovered a metal bar that is being forensically examined. A 20-year-old man from Newton Le Willows, who police say was originally from Afghanistan, was arrested yesterday on suspicion of affray, wounding and criminal damage. He has since been detained under the Mental Health Act. Now, Merseyside police say they understand how this kind of incident will cause concern in the community here, and as a result, they will be more visible to try and reassure the community.
Eunice Muller, thank you. Eurostar and Le Shuttle services between the UK and France through the Channel Tunnel have now resumed after yesterday's major travel disruption. Thousands of passengers faced hours of delays after Eurostar cancelled most of its services from London due to overhead power supply problems. Rail services through the tunnel in both directions are now running following repairs, but Eurostar has urged passengers to check before travelling, warning of possible knock-on delays and last-minute cancellations. Other rail passengers, though, also faced delays and cancellations today after signalling cables were stolen in South Yorkshire. Services run by Northern, including trains from Doncaster to Hull and Scarborough, are among those affected. Cross-country trains between Edinburgh and Birmingham New Street and TransPennine Express services from Liverpool were also affected. A section of cliff has collapsed onto a beach on Dorset's Jurassic coast yesterday afternoon. A woman who was out walking her dog managed to film it, and she's been telling us what happened.
I was walking on West Bay and I just heard a really deep crack from the cliffs. There was a massive amount of rubble just started crumbling out of the cliffs. And then there was a huge orange dust cloud. Luckily, everybody remained safe and the Coast Guard were there.
Very lucky escape. Well, Dorset Council has urged people to stay away from the edge and the base of cliffs. Now, it sounds like the stuff of science fiction, but a company based in Cardiff is a step closer to running a factory in space. Spaceforge has managed to send a mini version the size of a microwave into orbit and switch on its furnace. Now they have shown that the technology works. They want to upscale, as our science editor, Rebecca Morell, explains.
Blasting off from California. On board is a satellite with a difference. Made in Wales, it's on its way to test whether manufacturing can be taken to the next level. The satellite is a mini factory designed to make semiconductors for electronics and then bring them back to Earth.
It's basically like a microwave. Instead of cooking food, we're cooking gas to an extraordinarily high temperature.
The technology has been created by a Cardiff company called Spaceforge.
This is what a semiconductor looks like. So this is one that we made here on Earth, and the work that we're doing now is allowing us to create semiconductors up to 4,000 times purer. This sort of semiconductor would go on to be in the 5G tower, in which you get your mobile phone signal. It's going to be in the car charger you plug an EV into. It's going to be in the latest Airbus or the latest Boeing planes.
The conditions in space are ideal for making materials for semiconductors. Gravity on Earth makes it hard for the atoms in the materials to line up perfectly. But in space, the weightless environment means they can form a perfect 3D structure. On Earth, there are contaminants in the atmosphere, and this can introduce impurities. But in the vacuum of space, that doesn't happen. And the more pure and ordered the material is, the better the semiconductor works.
The team are controlling their mini factory while it's in orbit, and they've made a big leap forward. They can turn on the factory furnace and heat it to 1,000 degrees Celsius. Images of the key moments were beamed back to the control room.
This is so important because it's one of the core ingredients that we need for our in-space manufacturing process. So being able to demonstrate this is amazing.
This is just the start. The next step is to build a bigger satellite that could create semiconductor material for 10,000 chips.
By proving the technology, it really opens the door for an economically viable product where things can be made in space, return to Earth and have use and benefit to everybody on Earth. And that's really exciting.
There are still challenges for Space Forge to overcome, including testing the tech to bring the materials safely back to Earth. But the hope is for a new industrial revolution fit for the space age. Becca Morrell, BBC News.
Not long now until we welcome in 2026, but in many parts of the world, New Year's Eve celebrations have already been taking place. This was New Zealand and a colourful fireworks display from Auckland's Sky Tower, the country's tallest structure. In Australia, Sydney Harbour Bridge's fireworks did not disappoint. More than 1 million people were out on the streets to ring in 2026. There was, though, an extra police presence following the recent Bondi Beach attack. And an hour before the fireworks, there was a minute's silence around Sydney Harbour. People lit candles and shone their phone torchlights in a collective show of defiance. This was seen in Japan and South Korea. The new year began with traditional bell-ringing ceremonies in Tokyo and Seoul. And more from Malaysia. Well, there'll be big fireworks displays in Edinburgh, Manchester, Newcastle and London, amongst others. Tonight, we'll be looking at London's preparations in a moment. But first, let's go to Edinburgh, where Hogmanay was actually cancelled last year because of the weather. Ben Phillip is there. So what's it like there tonight, Ben?
Well, a very happy Hogmanay to you, Sophie. Improved weather this year, dry, a little bit windy, a little bit chilly. Organisers are advising the partygoers dress warmly for the conditions, but excitement certainly is building here. And Edinburgh's street party has become a hugely popular event for people from all over the world since it was first held here in 1993. We're expecting some 45 centre here tonight. The doors open at 8 p.m. and the centre of Edinburgh will effectively become a stage for a massive outdoor party. And earlier I spoke to one of the event organisers.
I think it has the best backdrop in the world with the castle. I mean, and the city centre is just formidable. The fact that the whole city centre can be turned into a party is unique. You know, I've been to, I think probably the second best is Sydney. I think it looks great when you see the fireworks coming off the bridge, but it's not quite Edinburgh. Edinburgh really seems to have, I don't know, there's something special about the temperature maybe, and just the sort of whole environment here just makes it really, really perfect.
As I say, excitement is building. The party starts here in the next couple of hours. Bagpipes and fireworks, you name it, you'll see it here in Edinburgh.
Thank you very much. And huge crowds gathering as well in London. Greg Mackenzie is in central London for us. The fireworks taking place as usual, though one of the usual prime viewing spots is closed tonight by the police.
It is indeed, Sophie. Primrose Hill is closed, and it was the Royal Parks who ordered it to be closed over safety concerns. About 30,000 revellers gather at the top of the hill to see the London skyline, and what they would have been seeing would have been this, the London Eye, which will come alive. The skyline will be lit up with 12,000 fireworks here along the London embankment at midnight. The chimes of Big Ben will ring, and that will mark the official time of 2026. 100,000 people have got tickets to be here for what is Europe's biggest fireworks display.
You can see it, of course, all on the BBC. Greg and Ben, thank you both. Time for a look at the weather now. Louise, Lear, and we were talking. Yes, snow is on its way.
It is, Sophie. Good evening, everybody. It is going to be a cold start in January, but in actual fact, New Year's Eve is not looking too bad at all. In fact, the cloud is gathering in Scotland, and this cloud acting like a friend, a blanket of cloud, strengthening winds, but it will be showers of rain through New Year's Eve across Scotland, and that's going to be sinking its way steadily southwards, accompanied by gusts of wind 60 miles an hour. Further south, we'll have clearing skies, and here temperatures perhaps at midnight around -1. That's where the lowest, the coldest of the story is likely to be. But through the night, that weather front will drift its way steadily south. It will weaken all the time, a band of cloud here, and then the colder Arctic air starting to dig in through New Year's Day across Scotland. And yes, that's when we will see those showers turning to snow. So not too cold a day to begin with for New Year's Day, but the cold air really starting to dig in as the night time arrives. So we could see some showers of rain, sleet and snow across Northern Ireland. Ice could be an issue here, particularly across Wales. We could have a wintry mix here and down through the West Midlands for those travelling after your New Year festivities. Into Friday then, a cold, crisp day for all of us. We will see some snow showers close to the coast. Almost anywhere across the coast could have this wintry mix, but it will be snow across Scotland, and that cold air now starting to show its hand at around 3 or 4 degrees quite widely across the country. Into the weekend, the cold air really taking over, and for those travelling back to their homes after the celebration, certainly in Scotland, there will be further snow showers and accumulations developing as we go through the weekend. So keep abreast of the forecast.
Louise, thank you. That's it from us for now. I'll be back at 10:50.